And I think when you realized you had 3 months in the bank, there was a sense of peace and inner confidence in you. And you didn't have in front of your clients that lean and hungry look that some clients can smell a mile away.
Right. So you're finally making money. Now what? How do you develop that financial confidence so that when you walk in a room with a potential client, you're not hungry looking? You don't have that desperate look on your face. I can remember being awkward around money. And I think it has something to do with you have this passion, this craft that you love doing, and you're making something that's almost a piece of yourself. And then when you tie money to it, there's always this awkwardness, this tension, because you're bringing something cold into what is this warm creative process. And so developing that thick skin and that confidence on talking about money is the key to developing a successful creative business. In this episode, I had the absolute pleasure to talk with Errol Gerson, and we answered your top questions about managing your business's money. You see, Errol is a consultant and accountant, and he's helped creatives with money for over 47 years. Check this out, guys. It is gold. As a new business, how do you predict your monthly income?
You do it the same way as you predict the stock market. You don't. Because predicting money is like you wet your finger and you hold it up and you see which way the wind's blowing. We don't want you to predict income, but here's what we do want you to do, and that is you got to know your break even. And the reason I tell you this is because if you knew what your break even point was in dollars, and you knew how much you charged per hour, then you would know how many hours you would need to bill your clients each month to break even. Now, the beautiful thing is by doing that, instead of predicting income, you have set yourself for a motivation course, because once you set a goal, when you go to sleep at night, whether you like it or not, your subconscious is saying, I think I can, just like the little engine that could.
How can you figure out what you need to charge for it to be profitable?
So let's first define our terms. Firstly, the word profit is the residual of revenue minus expenses. That's what profit is. So you ask a good question. How do I figure out how much to charge? And I'm going to go back to an answer I gave earlier, my friend, and that is you got to know your break even. If you don't know the break even point of your business, it's like flying an airplane blind. Ultimately, you're going to crash. So what do you got to do? You got to figure out your fixed overhead. Then you've got to figure out that as a design business, your profit margin is usually 50%. So now all you do is you take your fixed expenses, which are all the expenses, plus your salary, plus your income tax, plus your retirement, and divide that number by 0.5, and let's say it comes out to $12,000. Well, what you got to do now is take the blended average rate you charge for your time, divide it into the 12,000. That'll tell you how many hours your company has to bill to be profitable. Now, the question for you is that a realistic number? Once you know your break-even point, a sense of realism and control on how to run your business will skyrocket.
I can remember the time when I actually calculated my burn rate for the first time, my break-even point. And I remember the sense of relief, because I had been mentored by Chris for about a year at that point, and he had coached me into charging more. And I think I was charging about $150 an hour.
Good.
And it got to the point where I realized that all I had to do was bill, I think it was like 30 hours a month. That's it. 30 hours a month, and I had 4 people working for me.
And you were in control.
That was it. Yep.
Yeah,
and I knew exactly how much runway I had in the bank. All the sense of confidence that I got just from that equation alone, it was huge. So go back, rewind, and run that calculation for your business. How much safety net or runway should small agencies have saved?
A very difficult question and a very good question. I have represented significantly large design firms, and I've represented small design firms, 10 to 15 people. 1976, we had a recession. Companies immediately had to turn to their runway, to their savings account, to use it just to survive, because what happens in an agency is that you build up an overhead. And as you build up an overhead, you've got to generate enough revenue to satisfy that overhead. Now, all of a sudden, we go into a slight recession. First thing people do is, oh my God, I've got to lay people off. Well, that's not necessarily true. One of the things you can do is sit down with all of your staff and say, look, we're going into a recession. This is where I think we're headed. If we all take a 10 to 12% cut in pay, I think we can all stay together, which is what we want. And that's a brilliant way to keep your business. Now I'll answer your question discreetly and succinctly. My friend, you got to put away 6 months fixed overhead in the bank, because if you have the ability to put that kind of money away and don't touch it, there is a sense of peace and a sense of confidence that even during times of recession, that even if you had to dip into this cash, it's a good thing. The other way that large design firms do this is by accessing what's called a line of credit at the bank. So after a period of time where your business has become very profitable, you can go to a bank and ask them to give you, say, a $50,000 or $80,000 revolving line of credit, which means you can use it, but then you have to pay it back, and then at the end of the year, you have to clean it up. It has to be zero. So set a goal of putting away at least 6 months of your operating overhead in the bank, and you will survive any recession, no question.
And a lot of you guys are probably thinking 6 months, oh my God, that's a lot. But it's true, because as you guys start charging more, which is what we always encourage you to do, charge more. I'm going to say it one more time, charge more. As you guys start charging more, the time that it takes to close a sale starts getting longer and longer and longer. You can close a $500 sale in a day. When it comes to a $500,000 sale or even a $50,000 sale, those take months, at least. We had one that was $250,000 that took over a year to close. And that was just because there wasn't enough urgency, but it was a good project, and so we hung on.
Yep.
And so, a lot of times, especially when I was running my business, I knew that my sales cycles were starting to get pretty long. They were going on a month, 2 months, just to get things closed at that $10,000 to $15,000 mark. And so what I wanted to do was have more runway in the bank. And so as soon as I hit 3 months runway, I could feel that sense of peace. I could feel that starting to kind of burden be lifted. So having 6 months in the bank, man, I wouldn't even come to work. No, I'm just kidding.
And I think when you realized you had 3 months in the bank, there was a sense of peace and inner confidence in you. And you didn't have in front of your clients that lean and hungry look that some clients can smell a mile away.
Right.
If you ask 10 people, what are they most afraid of? They'll tell you speaking in public and money. Money is that subject for some reason that brings fear into us. I want to put you in control. I want to put you in the driver's seat. I want to give you the business acumen and the language so that when you go and talk to clients and they start talking about money, you'll sit straight up in your chair and you won't flinch.
Do you have more questions about money? Leave it in the comments section below. Errol and I will be in the comment section for the next couple days. If you liked this video, if you like this little snapshot of Errol, and you want to learn more about mastering your money, consider taking our course, Managing Money. Errol teaches it, and it is fantastic. We'll leave a link in the description below. As always, guys, I want you to go out there and crush it. You got this. I was this up.
That's outro. Keep that in there. We're keeping that one in there.
As always, guys, I want you to go out there and crush it. You got this. Like, subscribe. We love you. We'll see you next time.